This will be the end of this match. 7-5, 6-2 Alcaraz. He moves into the Beijing semifinals where he's going to play Daniil Medvedev. I mean, yeah, obviously this was a pretty solid performance from him. That's for sure. He was pushed by Khachanov. There was that 30-15 moment, or 15-30 rather, at 5-4 in the first set, where I guess Karen was the closest that he's ever been to taking a set of Carlos. But all in all, it was still on his racket. Like, we saw some of that inability from Khachanov to like get out of his comfort zone and attack these top quality players, and instead just kind of allowing them to play what they want. He still demanded a high standard of execution. I definitely have to say that. And yeah, I think we can see that Alcaraz is playing with more passion in the US Open swing, and that's definitely already turning into results. It's been the entire week, but this match, I think he was kind of pushed, and yet he still produced the level, and yet he still played with that drive and that hunger again, which is good. That's exactly what he said was missing from his game, in Cincy and at the US Open, and we saw that. Well, the Laver Cup kind of brought it back for him, which is pretty funny to think about. Anyway, speaking of the Alcaraz Medvedev matchup, Carlos is 5-2 there in that rivalry. When it comes to their matches on hard courts, Daniil won one of them and Carlos won three. Outdoor hard, they've only played in Indian Wells, the US Open, and once again Indian Wells. So, I mean, Indian Wells, obviously that suits Carlos a lot more because it's that sandpaper surface and it's very high bounce. It's very bouncy. It's not exactly the type of hard court that Daniil Medvedev likes, and trust him on that because he's a specialist. And the US Open semi last year, that was the last win that Medvedev got against Alcaraz. We know that this is a good rivalry for Carlos. There's a lot of sort of like variety with which he can attack Medvedev and basically force him to give up his very like defensive court positioning. Then again, Daniil, I think the entire season has been kind of trying out different things, trying to improve, and maybe he has gotten a lot better in terms of just standing closer to the baseline on return, which he needs against Alcaraz, not to be damaged by all these serve and volleys out wide that Carlos can play. So, I mean, it's going to be exciting. Beijing is still looking like an Alcaraz Sinner final, like it was before the beginning of the week. But if someone's going to beat Alcaraz, well, it might as well be Medvedev. We weren't really talking about him as like a massive threat because we weren't sure if he was going to make the semis. Eventually, he did it, and did it in pretty good style too. So I think that he might be a bigger threat than we initially perceived him to be. Sinner, of course, still needs to beat Lehechka and then Rublev or Buincho-Kete. So it's not like it's a given either, especially with like a lot of mess right now that is happening for Yannick, around him because of the way that or WADA or whatever you want, however you want to call it, the doping agency appeal, and also because of just like generally, I don't really know what his motivation towards the end of the season will be, given he's pretty much already secured the world number one ranking. So at least until the ATP finals, he to me doesn't have that much to play for, but But anyway, that's not our worry for now. You guys should be able to enjoy the stream next time. Soon as well from Sinner Lehechka. And was it another typical Alcaraz Khachanov match? Well, along with Madrid, it was more competitive than the Alcaraz Khachanov matches. I would say maybe it was a typical Khachanov against a top player match rather than a typical Khachanov against Alcaraz match. Yeah, and all right, that's pretty much going to be that, I think. And yeah, tune into the Sinner Lehechka watch along later. And from me, that's gonna be it from today. Typical Khachanov against a top player, brutal, yeah. But I think if you look at his records, like that losing streak he had against the top 10, it's just how it is, right? And it's how it is at the end of his big runs as well. Other than, of course, Paris 2018, where, as I said, I think he was just a very different player back then in terms of having that younger, more confident, more cocky mindset, and just putting himself out there, putting it all on the line a bit more than he is capable of at the moment. Anyway, he gave a very fine effort today. Just didn't do anything spectacular. Gave Carlos a bit too much freedom, and he took that. Yeah, once again, everything for me. Tune into the Sinner Lehechka watch along, and I'll see you guys some other time. Bye.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.